Voices of Jamaican men who have been raped and sexually abused. The Cries of Men is a search for the love and acceptance. The Cries of Men, Jamaican Men, by O'Brien Dennis. Let's talk about it. Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to OMGGG TV, my loyal and beautiful, nice, clean subscribers. Hey guys, nice to have you back. And if anyone new is passing through, stop, click on the notification bell, click subscribe and come back when I drop another video. So in this video guys, we're on a serious topic. You can see the thumbnail, you would have seen the title. So this is a book review. I am reading this book, and as I am reading, I am highlighting passages that I want to share with you. So we can call this a little mini series because I have to get through the whole book. I'm not sure how long it would take, but I hope that you will tune in, like up these videos. I really want the thumb liked up on these videos, guys, to build algorithm. That means YouTube will push out the video and we spread awareness. This book is about Jamaican men, as this is my diaspora, this is my culture, but this is worldwide. This isn't just Jamaica. Right now, we probably have in Jamaica, America, Canada, England. Right now as I speak, SA abuse on little boys is happening. Daily occurrence. And lately, we know there has been a lot of people coming out against SA assault, but mostly women. And then I came across this gentleman and I wanted to share. So what I'm going to be doing, like I said, I am going to read passages that I have highlighted. And if you want to read the whole book, page for page, you can find it on Amazon. So we'll start the story. Acknowledgements. I give thanks to God for waking me up each day and giving me hope. I thank my mother as times go by, breaking the barrier between the both of us. To my sisters, Kerry, Celia and Tracy, thanks for your love and support. To my brother Andre for always having my back. My auntie Vicky, thank you for believing in me and giving me a hug when I needed it most. To my cousin and one of my dearest friends, Kamar, who over the years has shown me unconditional love. To the 5 men in my life, you have all asked not to have your names listed, but you all know your abbreviations: TH, CH, TA, CO, ST. Thank you for your friendship, trust, love, and support. When I had nowhere to live, you gave me a home. When my family turned their backs, I could always count on you all. No one in the world could ask for better friends than you guys. I'm totally grateful to everyone who has helped in giving their time, space, love, and confidence in writing this book. Special thanks to the young men who have given their stories to making this book possible. Some of you may not be at a stage to accept the reality that you were sexually abused or even ready to confront your family. But remember, in the end, true happiness comes from within. Introduction. Sweet, sweet Jamaica. Have you ever been in love? And I mean really in love, to the point where you feel a knotting inside your stomach, giving you a sense of excitement? The love I'm talking about is summer's love, going away into the countryside, and in the last few days of your trip, you meet someone and your world is rocked. You know it will not last because you both are from separate worlds, yet it feels as if it could last forever. Have you ever loved someone you would do anything to make them understand? Have you ever had someone steal your heart away from you and would give anything to make yourself feel safe? Have you ever needed someone so bad you can't sleep at nights? Words cannot explain how you feel. Most of my summers were like that, and that's how I come to believe in love, even though love can be painful at times. I enjoyed it for the moment. It is this love that forces a young child, a young man, to trust another. Love has its dark side to it. And it is this emotional perversion of passion that forces someone to hurt an innocent child or somebody close to them. Chapter 1 was a result of a long weekend of passionate sex with someone I knew that could never be mine, as he was already involved with someone else. It was so intriguing, even though we both knew it could never last. We took time to know each other for who we were and making that spiritual connection, only for the moment. The memories of that weekend lingered in my mind for a long time. I once lived in Jamaica, an island paradise I called home, and I would still want to call it home, but I have moved on with my life. When I think about Jamaica, I remember meandering of the Y.E.S River, the waters cascading off of Dunn's River Falls, our endangered species of fern located at Fern Gully, the clear blue sea and beaches that rival any in the Caribbean. I reminisce on Bob Marley's One Love, One Heart. No other country in the world is quite like Jamaica. I love my home country as it made me into the man I am today, and yet I'm so disgusted with its cultural values. With all said and done, the island is considered one of the most homophobic societies on earth, where men will be unalived for even being thought of as homosexual, or burned unalive for engaging in what is called ungodly sexual acts. Homophobia pervades the culture that the government, despite its moral conscience, refuses to lift the ban on homosexuality, even in this global age of communication and free liberties. There is a secret that no one wants to talk about, and that is the reality that so many young men and boys are subject to incest and sexual abuse daily. Wow. In a society that deems homosexuality as evil, punishable by imprisonment of up to 10 years hard labour, it is hard to believe that there is a total of over 15 reported cases each week of sexual abuse of young men and boys. One police grape unit reports that an estimated 3 cases are reported each week, and that is only one parish office. There are countless unreported cases from abused young men who are afraid of losing their lives. With all this argument and nonsense about Jamaicans being homophobic, who, I might assume, is responsible for all of these grapes of these men and boys? We have kept silent for too long, and our silence is deep-rooted in history. Our ancestors were raped as a means to keep them servile. Jamaica is a strong nation, a nation filled with history and fighters from Africa, and that is where our story begins. We are descendants of tribes of Ashanti, Yoruba, Ibayo, and nations of regions of the Congo. The sad part of our history is that we, as a nation, have never accepted our history, as it is never truly told to us. We are sexual people filled with too much pride. I am not trying by any means to air my country's dirty laundry. I am merely stating facts and trying to entertain a meaningful conversation amongst Jamaicans and Black people in general. The outward appearance of slavery is over, and now we need to deal with the harsh reality of our society. We have kept our mouths shut for far too long. The burdens of slavery are upon us, and our men are crying, reaching out, needing to be heard. I feel deeply hurt that a man can take away the innocence of a child by one evil act, and as a society, we blame the child, accusing the child of encouraging the act. The reality of it is locked behind the homophobic behaviour, which is an open aggression towards homosexuality. There is lustfulness and deep-rooted willingness amongst men to experience the pleasures of another man. Is it wrong? I leave you, the reader, to make your own judgment. What is wrong is grown men preying on young kids. I will start the healing process. I am a victim of rape and I have survived. The hardest part of recovery for me was coming out and admitting that I was essayed. It is imperative that readers understand the sexual abuse is not about the victims. It's about what happened to them. Sexual abuse is a crime against you and not an indication of your sexual orientation. Sexual abuse has more to do with violations of power and acts of aggression, control and manipulation. It is a crime against you, the victim, as sex was used as a weapon to control, dehumanize, humiliate, and belittle you. Sexual abuse has nothing to do with lust, passion, or love. It is about power dynamics. When a boy is sexually abused by a man, it is often incorrectly seen as a homosexual act. Oftentimes, the majority of men who grape other men consider themselves to be heterosexual. As survivors, it's important to understand that you were forced, threatened, or seduced into committing sexual acts. It does not mean you are a homosexual. If you even enjoyed it or subjected yourself to abuse, the fact that you were manipulated and your trust was violated, the harsh reality of abuse is that it steals your authentic self and identity and forces you to become shameful, confused, angry, and hurt. I have merely drawn to a correlation between incest and sexual abuse of men and the growing trend of homosexuality in Jamaica. I have attempted to analyze the cultural dynamics behind the homosexuality explained by a young boy by the homosexuality and explained why a young boy of 7 years old would unalive himself after being raped by his school security guard. I share with you, the reader, an intimate side of me, a story of how I was molested at age 4 by my neighbour in the ghettos of Kingston, Jamaica. This book is more a reflection of my abuse and how I survived and beaten the odds. I talk about trust and friendship and how my neighbour took advantage of the trust, raped me on a damp night, age 14, and the reality of how the abuse transformed, where we became lovers for 2 years. I am candid in both tone and language. In my detailed account of rape, I give the reader the opportunity to be me for a moment as I give explicit details of sexual acts of rape. I talk about my struggles with alcohol through college, my obsession with unaliving myself, and how I was able to balance school and achieve so much academically despite the odds. Like, share, and subscribe. Please, everybody listening to this, hit the like button. That is for algorithm, guys. Yeah? YouTube will push this video and we can spread the word. Okay? And I would just really appreciate that. Okay? Let me continue. There is an unedited chapter that deals with the general attitudes of the current Jamaican social groups and how they view homosexuality. I have dished the dirt on the church, showing their hypocrisy in both thinking and teachings, as too many young boys, while they kneel to pray after church service, are forced to ride the D-I-C-K-S of their pastor, who condemns the homosexual act each week in their sermons. Jamaica is a country filled with love and hatred and double standards that are deeply rooted in slavery. I'm attempting, within the context of the church and their warped definition of sexuality, to re-educate the Black congregation about how sexuality was defined from the historical perspective and how European colonizers through slavery taught us Blacks that sex was dirty. We have lived through centuries of miseducation of the Negro race, and Christianity for centuries has been our opium, and we need to put an end to it. We have researched the first use of the word homosexuality in the English version of the Bible and discovered that there is no correlation between sodomy, sodomite, and homosexuality. I have interchanged the chapters and tried to make the book more interesting to the reader. I have written the book with the innocence of a child. I had to relive my past and become naive. Vulnerable young boy I was, who was somewhat clueless about dangers of life. It is important that the readers bear this fact in mind, as in some parts of the book I am angry. It is built up in anger from my past talking. In reliving my past, I became the young boy all over again, and it is he who is writing and not the adult me. I have dealt with the family and how it is important for parents to have a bond with their sons and stop defining masculinity based on a penis size and the strength of a boy's voice. The family has an important role to play in helping to stop incest and sexual abuse of boys. Families need to face the reality that it can happen to their sons, and by dismissing the issue like it never happened is creating internal war within men that is causing a profound social ill. I have noticed the stories of boys who are trapped in the barless prison and who often remain speechless. I have given a voice to their stories. I have also included stories of mothers in pain, mothers who now regret blaming their sons for their abuse and who are now seeking for forgiveness. I dealt with trust within the family and why it's important to listen to our kids. I believe we were all placed on earth for a profound reason. Upon completion of this book, long before it was even published, I gave a talk to a group of men at a Sunday brunch in Midtown Manhattan. And at the end, Wayne, a young man at the brunch, told me his story. Wayne was 21 years old and currently resides in New York and attends a prestigious law school in the city. After the meeting was finished, I saw this cute, sexy, confident young man with almond skin, bone-white teeth, and a smile that could brighten the world. He approached me. He thanked me for what I was doing and told me how brave I was to have taken up the burden of so many young Jamaican men. He was impressed that I was candid in dealing with the rape and the grape, and how much he admired the way I'd asserted myself when I relayed my story. He wanted to know what inspired me not to commit suicide after all these years. I told him it was my belief in God and the strength of friendship. I believe we were all placed on the earth for a profound reason, and I think I have found my place. As he was about to walk away, he looked me dead in the eyes as he held onto my hands and told me thanks again. He said in a soft voice, I was raped by my mother's husband at age 16. At that moment, I felt his pain. Tears came flowing down my cheeks. I knew then all he wanted was to talk and let it out, and I was happy that he felt confident to confide in me. I took Wayne outside in the humid August night and comforted him, allowing his voice, his innermost thoughts. Since I have written this book, so many men have told me their stories. Wayne's stepfather was a man he had grown to trust and call daddy. He ripped his pants off with force and strength, turned him face down on the bed, and ripped him open with his 10-inch thick, hard muscle. It sounds cruel, yes it is. It happened, and now we have to deal with it. His stepfather told him if he told anyone, he would unalive him. And yes, he would, as his firearm was laying on the bed next to Wayne to remind him if he did talk, he would be unalive. It happened 3 more times. It finally ended when he confided in his pastor at the church, who told his mother. His mother never believed him, and it made him numb for years. His mother is still with the man, and Wayne no longer speaks to his mother. A family shattered, a mother-son relationship broken. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Throughout his entire story, I closed my eyes, and it was as if I was there. I felt his pain and anger. I gave him a hug, and I wiped the tears from my eyes. I was angry, most of all with his mother. You see that, guys? I have to cut in there. People get angry with the mother because the crime's already committed. The crime's committed. It's done. It's what is the care for the child after. And that is why, I'm sorry to have to go to that, people seem to be attacking Mrs. Carter in her way, because it is the protection now the child needs the mother. Where are you? Throughout his entire story, I closed my eyes as if I was there. I felt his pain and anger. I gave him a hug. I wiped the tears from his eyes. I was angry most at the mother, as too many times mothers never believe. I must point something out. Most young men who have been raped in Jamaica and they have fled and now call the U.S. home, have beaten the odds and have excelled in school, and soon enough will make meaningful contributions to this country. Many have started, and I give them all a shout out for being brave and for surviving. I ask these men to join me in an attempt to break a cycle. There is a young boy somewhere who is crying out, who needs to say stop. Let us be their voice. There is a chapter in this book that deals with healing and how to go about getting help as a victim of rape. I have listed a number of scenarios, and if you answer yes to any of them, then you have been sexually abused. You need to get help. Shutting yourself in the barless prison will do you no good. All it does is unalive your soul. I chose this book with my last grape I closed this book with my last grape at age 21 and how I ran away from Jamaica. I blame myself for the last grape as I felt I could have prevented it. It was not easy for me to accept that it was not my fault. Oftentimes, the victims of sexual abuse think it's their fault, but it's really not. You said no as a child. Adults were there to protect you, and they should never take advantage of that trust. I do not know why men are homosexuals. I do not know if it was a gift from God. I have even questioned if God is gay. I do not know all the answers, but I do know that there is no correlation between being raped as a child and living the life of a homosexual. I close the book with forgiveness, and process of healing can never begin unless we forgive ourselves. I hope that by the end of reading the book, you, the reader, will look at your husbands, brothers, uncles and sons differently. We are all men, and we too have pain, and at times are dying to let our burdens out. Slavery has ended, but the aftermath of it still lingers. I wrote this book for all men and boys who are crying and yearning to speak about their pains. I wrote this book because HIV and AIDS are both on the rise with Black communities, and women are being infected at an alarming rate. I write for my sister and my female cousins and aunts so they may take time to listen to their men and take time to understand them and where they have been. As victims of abuse, we can never forget the abuse, but we must first forgive ourselves and, importantly, forgive our abusers, as they too need help. That's a hard forgive. The memories will linger until death, but the healing starts from within. So guys, that was the introduction to this book. So we're going to call this my part 1. And I'm going to come with the part 2. And we will continue. And again, I would really like you to like up this video, push the algorithm, share the video if you're interested in this. If you have a son, I have a son, and I know he's fine, but how many have not been fine? Yeah. So, you know, we're advocating for the women, and we need to advocate for the men too. Guys, I noticed that there was a part about SA abuse symptoms and the reaction trauma of grape, and that was way down in the book, but I feel like I'm going to read that to you now. I feel like even in this part 1, I'm going to read the symptoms of this stuff. We're not going to wait till part 10 or however many parts, so that if you see any of these actions or behaviors or symptoms, maybe look a little further, question your boys, and see if there's anything going on. So we have sexual abuse symptoms: stigmatization, guilt, shame, self-blame could lead survivors to feel bad about themselves and hurt themselves. Powerless, instability to stop the abuse could lead to passivity, lashing out, or controlling behavior. Betrayal, loss of trust, and grief over loss of a relationship, especially when the abuser is related, could lead to difficulty trusting others. Traumatic sexualization, distress, confusion, and painful or inappropriate sexual experience could lead to obsessive or fear about sex. Reaction to trauma of grape, loss in appetite, nausea or stomach aches, headaches, loss of memory and or concentration, change in sleep pattern. Psychological and emotional reaction, denial or guilt, shame or humiliation, fear and feeling of loss and control, loss of self-respect, anger and anxiety, nervous or compulsive behavior, depression and mood swings, withdrawal from relationship, changes in activity. In reading Beginning to Heal, I found the authors made rather interesting suggestion that can help all survivors of abuse get over abuse or challenge their energies in a positive direction. Don't try to hurt or unalive yourself. Remind yourself you are not going crazy. Find people to talk to. Allow yourself to think about abuse as much as you need to. Drop any responsibilities that aren't essential. Don't use alcohol or drugs to stop the pain. Get out of a dangerous or abusive situation. Sit tight and ride out the storm. Develop a belief in something greater than yourself. Talk to people who are farther along in their healing. Do as many things for yourself as possible. Oftentimes, children and adults alike go to great lengths to deny their own perception of abuse. And right now, I'm just going to read two people's short statement, and then we're going to close out for this video, guys. Dwight, age 20. When my stepfather would come into my room at nights, I would imagine that it was all a dream and that he was a monster. I would close my eyes tight when the penetration started. Jesus. Wanting to cry and hoping it will end. And when morning comes, I will forget it. One of the most common ways abusers deal with hurt and denial, we try to pretend it never happened. But to heal, you have to face the truth. Dwayne, 27. Even after he forced his penis inside of me, I went to bed at night bleeding. I never knew it was grape. Even when he was my lover for 2 years, I still never considering it to be grape. Most children and adults victims of abuse blame themselves as they believe it was their fault. Some men feel guilt as they are unable to protect themselves. But you need to understand that what you need to understand is that sexual abuse is never the fault of a child. Some victims of abuse feel pain and anguish while others find pleasure. If the abuse felt good, you may have felt ashamed and think you wanted it to happen. It is a natural thing to have sexual feelings when you are touched in a sexual manner. A child or a young man who, when sexually abused, may have an erection or even ejaculate, but that does not mean they wanted it. And I'm going to stop it right there, guys. This book is deep. Thumbs up in the comments, thumbs up the video, thumbs up if you find this interesting and you want me to carry on. Thumbs up or not, I will be carrying on with it. And I'm going to read some more tonight and highlight some more. And remember, I told you I am just reading part chapters. I have not read every single bit, although I've been highlighting bigger and bigger bits that I want you to hear. This book is on Amazon. The Cries of Men by O'Brien Dennis. And yeah, guys, hard hitting. Comment below, what do you think? Any of our men out there, Jamaican or anything else, if you watch this video and you wanna talk for the first time, I swear to God, you can contact me through the WhatsApp number in the description and we'll go from there. Highly confidential, don't worry. If you just want to even send your anonymous story or speak to me anonymously without giving any name, anything, but you're just going to tell the story, you can do so. If it's something you've never, ever, ever spoken about, but you just want to speak it out of your head, out loud for the first time, contact me. And I really, really mean that. Contact me. I think I'm a good listener, and I think I've got a broad mind spectrum. I think so. Definitely. I welcome you to use me as somebody you could have a voice to. Yeah, I will listen. Guys, like, share, subscribe to the channel. Please like. That's the important one. Like up the video for the algorithm. And if you feel in your heart, you can share this out to your Facebook, to your Insta, to your TikTok. We've got the movement going for the children, but let's not forget the little boys. What's making our men so angry? Why are our men so overly sexualized? They are, you know. Why is it such a thing that they cannot control? Yeah? You hear what the man said? And we know that. Who knows our history? It is a deep-rooted slavery thing. Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. It's a mental slavery. And I think there's so many. Those 7 little boys that sexually assaulted the schoolgirl, where them get them thinking from? What happened to them? Before we even chastise them, you know, and send them go to prison or some juvenile place where it's probably even worse in there, find out what made those young schoolboys have such an overly sexualized mind to forcibly take sex and violently hit the girl. What have they grown up and seen? Where do they live? What's their environment? What is going on? Listen, I'm going to go, guys, because this long, and I really want you to listen to the end. If you have listened to the end, just say we love our Jamaican men. Just type it down below. We love our Jamaican boys. We love our Jamaican men and boys. Type it down below. I want to see who reached to the end of this video. Like, share, subscribe, guys. And I'll be back soon. I'm out.